Welcome to this 88K model railroad video, and this is the continuation of our Wiki Demo Layout Build. Where we left off last time, I was showing you the same image and we were kind of going over the parts or the different sections of the boards, and I was just kind of going through just going through the motion, because it pretty much doesn't mean anything until you see the connections, and that's what I want to do this time, because I've got it all wired up and I want to go over the board connections and then the power distributions, and then after that we'll be ready to start testing and running the layout. So let's get into the connections, and we'll swing over to the image where you can actually see all of the wiring in itself. So let's do that. Here we are at the bottom of the board. I've got the image in front. You can see that it's powered up. So from the right hand side, I've got a 12-volt feed. This 12-volt feed I'm using, I just want one power input, which is the 12 volts, and then what I'm using is the buck converter here. This buck converter is taking the 12 volts down to 5 volts, and I'm using the 5 volts to power up the ESP32. There's also a 12-volt feed that goes to the switches. So here, this is the switch area, and it's got 12 volts. The 12 volts is then fed back into this module. This is the module that flips the switch, in that you've got the 2-wire output or connections for the Kato switches, but the outputs that you have from the equipment or from the ESP32 is no, I'm not saying that right. When you actuate the switches with the Kato switches, you have only one coil, and that coil goes back and forth based on polarities. Other systems, like we talked about, has the two or twin coils, and you have to energize the coil in one direction and then you energize the coil again, but it's the same polarity. And now this little module right here, it converts and flips the polarity so you can control the Kato switches. Also, there's a 5-volt output from here, from the buck converter, that goes to this position here, which powers the sensors. So the sensors have its output power, which are the red and brown wires here. They go to each one of these positions, and these are station 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can see each one of the stations is broken up into 3 sensors: the in, the sensor station, and then the out. Each one of these wires, they go up, like for here, and this at the bottom, the wires go up into the sensors. You've got the power leads, and then you've got the green lead, which is the signal lead. That signal lead comes back out, then is routed through these wires and into these positions that are connected to the Darlington arrays. Then the Darlington arrays are then connected into the ESP32 and the I/O ports. So this is supporting the inputs for the I/Os. You've got the one chip, and you're looking at the 3 connections, or 3 sensors. So it's sensor 1, 2, and 3, that's 3 for station 2, 1, 2, 3, that's 6, and then the other 3 and 4 is the other Darlington transistor array. So they support 8, but we're only using 6 on each side. So this pretty much covers the wiring. In the other video I was pointing it out, but it kind of means nothing until you can actually see how it's connected. So that's what I wanted to do and show. I don't want the video to go too much longer, so I'm going to stop it here, and then in the next video I'm going to, which is going to be a day or so, I'm going to go in, flip the board over, and we're going to start to test out each one of the sensors and make sure that they work with Rocrail. Now, I initially done all the testing and verified that things do work, but I just didn't video it. Now I'm going to video it to let you guys see. So hopefully this helps you out. I think any of you guys that have in small apartments or small places that are restricted, your size restricted, I think you set up this wiki demo, you could have a lot of fun learning how to do the automation and all of, just every aspect of Rocrail in a small environment. And it's something that you could put up in a corner on a table and actually have a good time at it. So with that said, I'm going to close out. Like usual, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you in a day or so. Welcome to this 88K model railroad video, and this is the continuation of our Wiki Demo Layout Build. Where we left off last time, I was showing you the same image and we were kind of going over the parts or the different sections of the boards, and I was just kind of going through just going through the motion, because it pretty much doesn't mean anything until you see the connections. And that's what I want to do this time, because I've got it all wired up and I want to go over the board connections and then the power distributions, and then after that we'll be ready to start testing and running the layout. So let's get into the connections, and we'll swing over to the image where you can actually see all of the wiring in itself. So let's do that.